Today on our podcast, we turn our attention to a groundbreaking decision from the European Court of Justice, which has sent ripples across legal, political, and economic spheres within the European Union and beyond. The court's ruling to nullify the European Commission's refusal to disclose vaccine purchase contracts marks a pivotal moment for transparency within governmental dealings. This decision rectifies a long-standing contention regarding the opacity surrounding the procurement of COVID-19 vaccines, a task fraught with urgency during the height of the pandemic. As we delve into this topic, it's crucial to understand the gravity of the court's verdict. The ruling demands the full disclosure of the agreements between the European Commission and pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca, contracts that represent tens of billions of euros. The issue at hand is not merely about access to documents, but rather about the principles of accountability and transparency in public spending. During 2020 and 2021, as nations grappled with the unprecedented challenge of COVID-19, the EU took an unprecedented step by centralizing vaccine procurement. This strategy was designed to streamline negotiations and prevent member states from competing against each other. However, this centralized approach also cloaked the process in secrecy, raising concerns over potential overpricing and wasteful spending. Critics have long argued that such opacity could lead to suspicions of undue influence and financial mismanagement. Leaked documents have already suggested that the contracts included clauses that allowed the EU to cancel orders without penalty while still committing to substantial advance payments. The court's decision challenges the European Commission's justification for these confidentiality measures, which were defended on the grounds of commercial confidentiality and public interest protections. However, the court has firmly placed the right of citizens to scrutinize such significant public expenditures above these considerations. This story is not just about contracts. It cuts to the core of democratic accountability in times of crisis. The pandemic tested government structures worldwide, pushing them to operate under emergency conditions that often sidestepped usual checks and balances. The court's ruling underscores a vital message. While expediency is necessary in emergencies, it should not come at the expense of transparency and accountability. This is especially pertinent when it involves public health expenditures of such magnitude. The implications of this decision are vast and multifaceted. For the pharmaceutical industry, it signals a potential shift in how commercial secrecy is handled in public-private partnerships. It suggests that future dealings may require more openness and justification for terms and pricing, potentially reshaping how these companies engage with governments globally. Politically, the ruling could invigorate Eurosceptics and transparency advocates, providing them with ammunition in debates over the EU's competency and fiscal oversight, particularly as elections loom on the horizon. Moreover, this case could set a precedent for international bodies dealing with similar issues. Around the world, battles over the secrecy of vaccine contracts have mirrored this situation, from the United States to the World Health Organization. The ruling from the European Court of Justice may thus influence how other jurisdictions balance the need for swift action with the demand for transparency. Economically, the consequences could be significant. If the disclosed documents reveal any irregularities or unfavorable terms, it could lead to audits, legal challenges, or calls for financial restitution. This not only strains the relationship between the EU and its pharmaceutical partners, but could also impact future funding for pandemic preparedness. In a broader context, the ruling bolsters the ongoing movement toward institutional reform, emphasizing the need for emergency powers to be subject to scrutiny to preserve public trust. As these contracts come to light, they will undoubtedly undergo rigorous examination. We can expect profound debates and analyses that may alter our understanding of Europe's pandemic response and potentially influence global benchmarks for transparency in public health emergencies. The decision underscores the critical balance between governance and accountability, a lesson that holds value far beyond the corridors of the European Union. In conclusion, the European Court of Justice's ruling is more than just a legal decision. It is a reaffirmation of democratic principles in governance. It stresses that even during times of crisis, transparency must not be sacrificed at the altar of expediency. As we continue to navigate the post-pandemic landscape, such decisions remind us of the enduring importance of public trust and accountability. As the documents are released, the coming weeks promise to shed new light on Europe's COVID-19 vaccine procurement, with potential insights that could resonate across the globe. Thank you for joining us as we unpack this significant development, and stay tuned for further analyses as more information becomes available.